It was 18 minutes past 4 on the morning of Sunday the 25th of April 1915. The first boat grounded at Anzac Cove. The silence was deafening, no shots being fired by the enemy or troops. The young men who gave up their lives to protect a country leaped from the boats to the water. They reached the beach, and that's when many young soldiers' journey had ended. With the first step on land, the enemy troops opened fire from the trenches on the foothills, marking the start of the Gallipoli battle. With World War I stalled on the Western Front in 1915, and by Christmas 1 million Allied soldiers dead, the British government was in need of a way to break the stalemate, and along with the Allied powers, Britain decided to launch a naval expedition to seize the Dardanelles Strait as a different stance of attack. If the launch was successful, the capture of the Straits would allow the Allies to link with Russians to knock Turkey out of the war. In the wake of the failed naval attack, the preparations for troop landing in Gallipoli began. Under the command of British Ian General Hamilton, troops from Australia, New Zealand and French colonies assembled and trained for 6 weeks. At the same time, the Turks were boosting their defences under the command of German General Mann von Sanders. The Ottoman troops were positioned along the shore where expected landings were to be. In the 6 weeks that the troops were training, the Turkish troops had organised reinforcements, strengthened their defences, laid mines, constructed trenches and established themselves on high ground around both sides of the Gallipoli Peninsula, leaving the British, French and Anzacs at a great disadvantage. The lack of knowledge of what the terrain was in Gallipoli, combined with the lack of awareness of the Turks' military capabilities and determination, the leaders of the Allied dived headfirst into a scenario in which they were too blinded by the idea of knocking Turkey out to realise the full consequences, resulting in the countless of young men's lives lost on the very first day and the days that followed. Many have gathered here on the shores of Gallipoli today to commemorate the sacrifice our Australian diggers made 100 years ago. Some may say that the service is just another excuse for the backpackers to meet and party, but seeing the growing number of Australians gathered is just an incredible demonstration of who we are as a nation. For many Australians, Gallipoli has become an important founding legend and is attracting greater attention every year. Australians entered the war welcoming conflict as a test of nationhood. Fervent nationalists can exult, pilgrims can mourn, and all can still ponder what made that group of Australians able to endure one of their greatest tests as a nation. Gallipoli was one of the most important campaigns of World War I. It showed what Australian and New Zealand diggers were made of, and it was something to be proud of as a country. The troops were courageous and intrepid. Today, the word Anzac has become a cherished national symbol for Australians, and the Anzac legend has become one of the cornerstones of modern Australian culture. Anzac Day encourages us to remember the soldiers who sacrificed their lives for this country. The legend of the Anzac has had a huge impact on Australians that we continue to commemorate the landing every year on the 25th of April, whether it be at home, in another continent, or at the very beach of the Gallipoli landing. The spirit of Anzac recognises the qualities of courage, mateship and sacrifice demonstrated at the Gallipoli landing, marking Australia's first input into the Great War. It was not the basis of strategic achievements, but the way the diggers performed is what modern Australians pride themselves on. In all, some 480,000 Allied forces took their place in the Gallipoli campaign, at a cost of more than 250,000 casualties, including 46,000 dead. Many of these soldiers were just young boys, someone's father, brother, uncle or son. Although the Gallipoli campaign failed in its military objectives, the Australian and New Zealand actions during the campaign left us all a powerful legacy, the Anzac legend.